So rubber meets the road. This is where you and the team start working together. This is you sitting with your team, looking at Microsoft project, talking about what's happening this week and who's going to do what and what the schedules are. And everybody's saying, all right, and break the huddle. Literally, this is what it is. So, you as a PM directing the work performance and resource allocation and really just, hey folks, are you getting, done what you're supposed to be done? It's really what this is. Don't overthink this process at all. This is you working with your team to create those deliverables that will then, if you look at the bottom of this page, turn around and be tested and inspected, right? Quality control. So whatever we do here is rolling right into that process. All right, we're going to take the charter, project documents, and project management plan. It says charter. It's just a slight little typo. Let me let Scott know. What is this, slide 445? Okay. We will take the project management plan, documents, EFs, OPAs. We use our expert judgment, use our project management information system at any meetings. And then the output here, this is the only process where we get deliverables as an output. It's the only process where the actual work gets created. All right, so 49 processes, and only one of them is where any real work is done. But it is what it is. I shouldn't say that. We were testing, we're building plans, right? But this is where the actual deliverables are created. All right. So the key output here, the deliverables, they must be unique and verifiable. I want to make note of that for the exam. Just as all projects are temporary and unique, your deliverables themselves must be unique and verifiable, meaning we got to be able to test them. You may get change requests. These are potential change requests. We'll get the data. The data is the raw observations. This is coming directly from the team members that are saying, this is how long they worked. This is how much of the job that they've completed. This is what their error, their defect rate is. This is how much of materials or supplies that have been used. And then you may also update your approach, project management plan, or your documents. All right, so those are the key outputs. That's what we're trying to do. All right. And in order to do that, we take the project management plan. All right, any part of that plan. We'll take approved change request. When we get to perform integrated change control, I'm going to show you a picture that I've drawn that shows you how the deliverables move throughout, PMI's view of how deliverables move throughout from being created all the way through the quality control cycle until final acceptance. And what happens if we go through change control? If we get approved change requests, those become inputs to this process. So again, if I go back to slide 439, just another example of how we're jumping back and forth, right? Because when you get an approved change request, that will become an input back to direct and manage the project team. So you could be working with the team and they're executing, then you got to jump to this process group. And all while you're only 40% of the way done with your planning, and you could still be planning, sometimes closing out a vendor, right? And you'll do what you need to do and then come back and you're planning and you're still executing. So we jump back and forth between process groups all the time. And although we just went through a journey that took you, in numerical order in terms of chapters of the knowledge areas, you could have certainly started at risk or at schedule, and you can jump back and forth that way too. I just want to give you a couple flavors of that. So moving back to the slide we're on now. All right. Deliverables need to be unique and verifiable. We could get change requests, get the data. Those are the outputs. We use the plan. We use those approved change requests as we just talked about. Right. And any project documents that we might need, such as the schedule. Right. Remember your project schedule is not part of the project management plan. The charter, the schedule, the risk register, the stakeholder register. I know that sounds weird, but none of those are part of the project management plan. The only thing that's part of your project management plan are your hows, your subsidiary plans, and those 3 baselines. The scope baseline, WBS dictionary, scope statement. The schedule baseline, that sort of summary schedule, right? Not the project schedule. That's the detailed one we use with the team, but the summary schedule. And then the cost baseline contains contingency reserves. That's the only thing that's part of the project management plan. So just keep that in mind. The rest of the stuff that we've created, all those other artifacts, are just simply project documents. We'll take those into account when we're working with the team. And then we'll get there by using our expert judgment. And usually we'll use some sort of software. Project management information system is what the exam will call it. We'll call it project or P6. All right. We'll meet with folks. We may have a kickoff meeting, update meeting, problem solving meeting, iteration meeting, whatever it may be. We meet with folks. We use our tools. We let them know what the status is, where they're at. We remove impediments, and they move forward. So that's how it's done. So that's direct and managed project team, making deliverables. All right, case study. Output produced by the perform integrated change control process is a key input for the direct and managed project work process.
Approved change requests?
Agreed.
Okay. Which project document should John use to record problems, gaps, inconsistencies, or conflicts that occur during the direct and managed project work process?
Issue log.
Agreed.
Okay. And which process will be used to evaluate and approve the project deliverables produced by direct and managed project work?
Control quality.
Okay. So we haven't gotten to any of these processes yet. Again, you would backdoor because EEFs, right, is not an output. Change request could be an output, right? And so could requirements. You need to have to know what's the input to direct and manage the team. This issue log here, so there is an issue log and there is a change log for PMI. And I just want you to know that there's sort of a blend of the two. If they describe the fact that there's an issue with one of the project objectives or like with one of the project deliverables, there's an issue with the project deliverable and it needs to be fixed. And they say, which of the following documents would outline, what that problem is? That's going to be the change log. But if it's, there's just problems, there's gaps, there's inconsistencies, there's conflicts that occur while we're creating the deliverables, then that goes into the issue log. So I just want to, mention that those are 2 different things for PMI. If they ever talk about the deliverable, we're going to say the change log, and then it gets approved or denied. And if it's approved, then that approved change request becomes an input, right? That's an output from that process and becomes an input to this. But if we're just talking about the work and the people, then that's an issue. So this is between people.
Hey, CJ, the case study mentioned KPIs quite a bit, and it just, as I was reading it, it jogged my memory that I don't remember exactly at what process the KPIs are developed for the project. I assume it's under quality planning or planning quality.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
So, okay. If we're talking like specific for the exam, PMI language, we develop metrics during plan quality. However, KPIs, PMI makes no mention of when we capture those. And in fact, they being PMI will refer to KPIs when we see project closure and when we create a the final project report. That's where you see the word KPIs come up. But sometimes you'll see it. You don't even really see it in a charter, which where it should be, because then at the end of project, that's where we should start and it should kind of come from. But PMI doesn't really get into that because again, they're all about the what. They don't get into the how or the why, and so they just say that, hey, there should be some KPIs. So I know the case study mentioned it, but on the exam that won't be a focal point at all.
Okay.
So good catch, but and I can see it makes sense, but it's not brought up by PMI. They're going to use the word metrics when they're talking about what we're tracking on the project.